recession impact your investments? Here to talk to me is Russ Gaiser from the Financial Guys in Buffalo. Hi, Russ.
Hey, Hannah, how are you?
I'm good. So first, before we get started, how do we define a recession?
So economists define a recession as a decline in the U.S. gross domestic product for 2 consecutive quarters or 6 months. And so far, we've had a decline 1 consecutive quarter. So when numbers are released near the end of next month, we'll have an idea of, if we're officially in a recession or not.
And is one on the horizon then?
That is the golden question. I know a lot of people are talking about it, and I chuckled because maybe, who knows? We don't have a crystal ball, but one thing we do know is that recessions are normal. They're to be expected. They're just a typical normal routine of our business cycle. There will be, when there's growth, there is economic contraction at some point. How long or how severe a recession will be just depends on, I guess it depends on a lot of different factors, but we know one will happen. We don't know exactly when or for how long.
How long is the average recession then?
The average recession, so before World War II, 17 and a half months, a recent Kiplinger article stated, but the FDIC, that insured bank accounts, there was run on banks. That's what triggered the Great Depression, or was it, a big part of that. After World War II, about 11 months has been the average length of a recession. And we really came out of it quick. The last recession through COVID, the pandemic-induced recession, but it's usually less than a year on average since World War II. So less frequent and less severe is what we've seen since the FDIC.
That might be good news. What can be done then?
So when I talk to clients, I talk to folks about this issue. It's really about having your financial house in order, controlling what you can actually control. You can't control when we'll enter a recession. You can't control how long it'll be. But if you run your home or your household, your personal finances like a business, making sure that you eliminate your debt or your cash flow that goes to other expenses, keeping what you earn, making sure you have adequate savings. You always have to think about what's the worst thing that could happen to me or my family during a recession. Is it job loss? There's a lot of different factors. Do I have a dual income family? Will I likely lose my job? How secure is that? And all those, it's multifactorial, but the most important thing is to really make sure your financial house is in order, and starting with eliminating, the wants and really focusing on what your needs are.
So how might a recession then impact investments?
That's a great question. So a chartered financial analyst, Peter Nielsen, that I work closely with, did some research, and he found that 27 from, let me repeat that. He found that from year 2006 to 2021, out of the 30 best days of the market, 27 of them actually happened during a recession. So when I talk about investments and recessions and all that, I always come back to, you can't time the market. It's more about time in the market. And then just understanding, is the market overvalued? Is it undervalued? How can I rebalance and maybe take advantage of some of the volatility that we're seeing within your portfolio, rather than just getting out? That's a big mistake that I've seen a lot of people make. They get scared, they just get out of the market, and they get out at the wrong time. They're getting out when the market is high and it's driving prices down, and then they get back in when everything's good, which again is getting in at the wrong time. So you want to leave your investments alone. You want to work with someone to take a look at, okay, what's my goal here, my objective? Am I on track to meet that goal? And then what's my risk tolerance? Meaning, am I invested in such a way, if the market took a 30% hit, would I be comfortable to stay in? Because again, it's all about time in the market, and letting those assets recover.
So how might one then be vulnerable during a recession?
That's a great question. So again, job loss, that's really what people think about. Sales are declining, spending is slowing down. So is your job at risk? And then if it is, do you have adequate funding to support, your daily needs? Can you afford to keep your lights on? Can you afford to pay your mortgage? Can you afford to, keep your car running and put gas in it to get to jobs, to find jobs? And food, do you have enough money for food? Like the bare essentials, right? You want to make sure you're prepared for that. And so if you are at risk of losing your job, if you think, if you have a single family income, one person's working, you want to make sure you have 3 to 6 months of expenses as a general rule of thumb, and what I call an emergency fund or grandma's rainy day fund. You could think of it. Some people might. And then people will ask me, well, why not more than 6 months of expenses? And well, then, it's kind of too much exposed to inflation, and we're in a higher inflationary period right now. And why not less than 3 months? Well, it's just not enough. So just depending on your scenario, and like I mentioned earlier, if you're a dual income household or a single family household income household, you might want to, lean to the longer end of that if you're at more risk.
And I have to ask, since I'm a member of Gen Z myself, how might a recession impact young investors?
To me, I just see opportunity. When you're young, you have a longer time horizon until you really need your money for retirement. That's the number one reason why people save and invest for the future. So I really see it as an opportunity. The market is on sale when the market's down. There's fears of recession, there's panic, there's uncertainty. You can buy stocks, on the cheap. It's like walking through a shopping mall. You would be more inclined to go into a store with a sign out front that said everything's 50% off or 40% off. Rather than going into a store that said, hey, everything's 30%, 40% overpriced. You're less likely to go in then. So you want to keep investing. You want to make sure that you're investing in the right things. You're well diversified, because you can really take advantage of the lower prices of the market. And based on past events, you're going to get good returns more than likely as we ease out of the recession. And it's interesting because the market prices in the better days during the bad times. So we see, light at the end of the tunnel, and that's where we start to see ground being made up. So when you're young, it's all about dollar cost averaging or continuously investing no matter what the market's doing, because you're going to buy the dip, you're going to buy at the highs, you're going to buy in the middle, and then you're getting an average cost, over that you're investing a lifetime. Mm-hmm. So, keep investing, have a plan. I think that's the most important thing. You want to take care of, like I said, take care of yourself and your family first, your four walls, that mortgage or rent, food, utilities, and then transportation, those needs. And then you can go out to the wants from there once those are covered and you have everything in order.
And since you have written this article, have there been any other developments or any other news regarding a recession that you would want to let everyone know?
Just what I'm seeing is just a lot of chatter still about, are we heading towards a recession? It's kind of the same discussion. We won't really know until the numbers kind of come out. I've heard people say it feels like we're in a recession, but regardless of what is going to happen, I think now is a good opportunity to really just take a hard look at your personal situation and say, okay, what is the worst case scenario if we do enter a recession, and where would that leave me? And then work back from there. Getting good advice is probably a good idea, just so you can get all your ducks in a row to minimize the impact. But just remember, you can't control things that are out of your control. You can only control, you can only have an impact on things you can control, is what I meant to say. So having all your ducks in order in a row is really all you can do.
Great. Well, here to talk with me again, Russ Gaiser. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Hannah. Thanks again.